When somebody doesn't like you and they feel that they're superior than you, or they feel that they're better than you, or they feel that you should be beneath them because of their own insecurities or whatever type of emotional turmoil they have going on in their own lives, they may be unfulfilled. They may have some type of emotional turmoil inside them. They may have friends egging them on who also don't like you or whatever. But you have to understand that once people put you in a box, there's nothing you can do about it but focus on yourself and focus on your own advancement and economic enhancement. And you got to understand that certain people take kindness for weakness. You know, you can be polite, you can be respectful, you can mind your business, and that's still not enough for people. They'll still want to attack you or try their best to try to target you for whatever reason. They may not like you because of this, because of that, or because of this and that. And they may say, I don't like this person because they don't have a job, for instance. But is that really the truth? Because the moment you get a job, there's all those negative feelings you have about that person just disappear and dissipate overnight. No, this it's a lot deeper than that, and a lot of complex emotional issues that a lot of people have going on. Now, I was talking to this one person, and they were telling me how pretty much they're talking to this girl for the last nothing like at least 4 or 5 months for a while. You know what I mean? For a majority of this year, pretty much, they were talking to this girl. They met in college and all that, and he was telling me how this girl, like he used to always like bring her little snacks and stuff like that. And then it started off like that, and then he used to like take her to Starbucks, and even at lunchtime, he'd take her to like Subway, he'd take her to McDonald's, he'd take her to like places like that. I think one time he said he went to like Chili's with her or something like that, one of those restaurants. But he was going with this girl pretty frequently. Now they weren't dating, and she never really brought anything, like he never brought it up. She never brought it up. It was kind of like they were just friends, I think he had class with her like Monday, Wednesday, Friday, something like that. And he would have class with her early in the morning, and then like he would hit her up when they're not in different classes and try to take her to lunch. So long story short, man, pretty much, so he was taking her to Starbucks or whatever, buying her those frappuccinos, those little bagels or croissants, whatever. And one morning she just like, oh, I'm okay, I'm fine or whatever. And he's like, huh? He thought it was kind of weird, but he liked this girl, she was pretty or whatever. And he was thinking like, okay, fine, I'm still going to go to that Starbucks anyway, just because, it kind of became a routine, kind of became habit. He liked it. So he goes to the Starbucks and he sees that girl, but now she's with some tall Chad, some tall blonde, Chad. And he's like, damn, like first he paused because at first he didn't think it was her, you know, but then he looked again, and then she kind of like, she's seen him obviously, you know what I mean? It's like, and she kind of like, he said like her face was kind of like a mix between terror, that's what he said, between terror and like surprise, like, like that, like she was surprised, like, what, really? You know? And so he looks, and at first he said he was going to go over there, but he said something inside him was like, man, he has to say something, right? Because he's been spending a lot of money on her, because like there's been times where like he would spend like, at least like almost like $40 or something at a Starbucks, I'm like, how the hell y'all spend that much, because he gets little stuff too or whatever. And there's times at lunch where he spent like over $100 for them to have lunch and stuff like that. So, and he's seen that like in her purse, she would have money or whatever, but she never offered to pay. So anyway, he goes over there, tries to talk, she was like, oh, hey, and she's like, hey. And he's like, oh, I thought you weren't going to Starbucks, or I thought you weren't, oh, this is my friend or whatever. And then like the guy looked at him, was like, who's this dickweed? That's what the guy says, like, who's this dickweed or something like that, he said. And he kind of felt offended. He was like, hey man, I don't know what your problem is, but I've been going with her. And then pretty much they got into like a little argument in like the little Starbucks, and he was just like, forget it. And then that's when he hit me up and was like, hey, BPV, what do I do in that situation? And I said, bro, if she doesn't like you, bro, first of all, you've been talking to this girl for months and she's not giving you no coochie or no booty. So that's obvious that she's not physically attracted to you. We all know that physical attraction is the first attraction. All this shit about your personality, that's out the world. Like, come on, we know what it is, especially in this community. And I was like, bro, there's nothing you can really do. If she doesn't like you, she may have her own insecurities, or she may have whatever, but let's just break it down. She just doesn't like your face, man. She don't like how you look. Like, he's kind of a short dude. I think he's a little shorter than me too. He's like 5'5", 5'4", something. He's kind of short too, But Um, he has a job, you know what I mean, and even though he says he hates his job or whatever, but he has a job, you know what I mean. He has his own apartment, and he has a car too. But even with all that, he was like, she still was like going to see this other guy. And I'm thinking in my head, well, you guys weren't really dating, you know. And she said that too, like, we're not even dating. So what's your problem is? And she went off on him, and he was like, damn, like if she was just been straightforward with him, you know. But she already put him in a box. She put him in a box of a oofy doofy. You know, somebody that can provide for her little lunch meals and all that, you know, where she don't have to pay or whatever. She just get her lunch meals and stuff, you know what I mean? And, you know, and then she goes give her coochie and booty to the Chad. And it sucks that life's like that. And people are so manipulative. People are so psychotic. They do these passive aggressive things, you know, and then when you call them out for it, they want to play dumb. Like, what are you talking about? They know exactly what they're doing because when they're talking with their friends, you know, when she's talking to her friends, because when the guy called him, oh, this dickweed or something like that. So she mentioned that guy, you know. So when she talks amongst her friends, they talk shit about you. They talk crap about you. You know, they let it be known that they don't like you. You see, this world is just filled with this deception, and people use their deception as a wild weapon. You know, it's like a trademark car. You know, like a card, and they pull out that card and it just finishes the game. You know, and it's crazy that we live in a world that's always trying to deceive you. But if somebody doesn't like you, they already put you in a box. Oh, this person's a loser. This person's a loser. This person's like, a lot of it is projection. If you think about it deeply and concisely and precisely, you know, and these people will never admit it. You know what I mean? You have to like put a gun to their head, and you know that's like the only way to get them to admit their sins. You know, and it's like, you can't hide behind religion. You can't hide behind, you know, trying to be the good person at the office that brings bagels or brings donuts. It's like people will walk all over you if you let them. And I noticed that. You know what I mean? Like, even if you mind your business and don't bother people, people will still try to pick fights with you, still try to do little things towards you. You know, they'll have like little listening devices around trying to hear what you're saying. They'll have like, it's like some crazy shit, bro. And when he told me that, I was like, bro, man, you know, there's nothing you can really do. And then he said he stopped going to class. Like he dropped out of that class so you wouldn't see her. Because he said the first time he went back to class, it was awkward. Like, you know, her face was kind of red and his was kind of, you know what I mean? And then he's just like, he said he left in the middle of class, which is too awkward. And he just dropped out that class. And I'm just like, damn. But it goes to show you that she already placed him in a box. She already had her prioritization. She already had her priorities straight. It was like she's using this guy as a oofy doofy, a blue pilled fool to get like get her snacks and get her food, and then she's going to get her sexual desires from the Chad. And you got to think, if he was giving her stuff like that, you know, and this Chad was going out with her, he got to think how many other guys were involved as well. Because he said he remember he remember his friend telling him that, hey man, watch out for her, man. She kind of low key thought, you know what I mean, you know, and he didn't want to believe it because she looked so pretty, you know. And he sent me a picture of her or whatever, man. You know, like a lot of people fuck with me, bro. Like when they like people come to me, I'm almost like I should have been a damn therapist or something like that. People come to me and I'm going through my own fucking problems, right? But you know, I have such a good heart, man. You know, and I feel like I do, because it's like, even though I'm going through all this shit, I'm still, you know, people come to me and I talk to them, you know what I mean, and you know, try to give them the best, whatever, you know. But yeah, man, it's crazy. I just told him, bro, you know, you just got to focus on yourself, bro. Yeah, it was kind of good. You got off that class, you know, just don't think about it, man. Because if she really wanted you, then she would have put forth the effort. You know what I mean? Like, she'd put forth the effort to try to lend a hand to you. Because if somebody really wants to help you or really want to help you, they're going to put forth the effort. It's not going to be some half-ass effort or some shit that's hidden in the skies with daggers. You know, like, hey, man, just you know, just you know, hey man, you need some help. Just go out there and lick some dog shit, man. You should get some money from that. Ha 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 ha. Like a passive aggressive jab at you. You know what I mean? They're trying to take passive aggressive jabs. But if you step to them for real, and you get into a physical confrontation and you kill that person or eliminate that person, then you're the one that's quote unquote in trouble. Now the judge is telling you couldn't control your emotions. You know what I mean? So that's why because he said he was going, because he said the Chad guy actually stood up and got in his face. After that, he just walked away because he said he didn't really want problems like that. He says she wasn't even my girl anyway, even though I had feelings for her and all that. But he said for a second he thought about fighting that Chad guy in the Starbucks. You know, and it's like, that's brutal. You know what I mean? Like, honestly, that's fucking brutal, bro. It's like, it goes to show you the power these beautiful women have on men. You know, the power they have. They like, because when you get angry for real, you do become insane. You become insane for a few seconds, you know. And he's like, he was feeling that feeling, you know. And then he just stopped and walked away, you know. And it just goes to show you, man, this world, it doesn't treat nice people good. Like, if you're a good-hearted person or a nice, kind person, you get swallowed alive in this world. Like, this world is just, it's filled with bandits, thieves, liars, robbers, manipulators, psychotics. You got people in different, states plotting against you, talking shit about you, you know. You got people around you that don't like you, that hate you, plot against you, want you to fail, call you a loser, call you this, say you ain't nothing, say, yeah, you a loser, you're this, you're that. The second you blow up, then watch their tune change. You know what I mean? Like, they didn't do anything wrong. They try to act like they're innocent, but they're not innocent. They know exactly what they're doing. You know what I mean? They know what they're doing. They know what they've been doing. They know what they've been saying. They know what they tell their friends. They know all of that. They just don't like you. And there's nothing you can do about it but get away from these people and try to live your own life. But they're going to watch your videos, spy on you, and still try to maintain some type of sense of superiority to you. If you think somebody's really a loser and a failure, then why do you watch all of their videos? Why? If you think somebody's a real loser, you wouldn't even give a fuck about him. Like, fuck that nigga. I'm not even going to talk to him. I'm not going to even look at him. I don't give a fuck he got a channel. Fuck his channel. I don't care about it. I'm just going to mind my own business. Why do I care? Right? Right? And when a girl that you like a lot, all of a sudden, you take her out to these places. She didn't see that guy was a nice guy. She didn't give a fuck about that. She wanted the Chad, She didn't care this guy was getting her Starbucks and getting her food and taking her out and doing all this, that, and the third. She didn't give a damn. She had her mind set up. She put him in a box, and he couldn't escape that. And I just told him, bro, you just got to just focus on yourself now, homie. Like, and he said he's sad. You know what I mean? He said he got some drinks in his apartment. You know what I mean? He started drinking, He was drinking and playing Call of Duty or whatever, and he was like, damn, bro, like, he thought that, because eventually he was going to try to ask her out or whatever, because, like, this was some Halloween party or something coming up, and he was going to ask her to that, but, now it's over, now he said, like, he doesn't have anybody, because he focused just on that girl, he's not really a ladies man like that, so he focused just on her, he wasn't talking to any other girls at the time, so now it's like, damn, he wanted to take her to a little kickback or a little party, and I was thinking in my head, I didn't tell him this, though, but I was thinking in my head, I was like, bruh, there's no way in hell she can go to a party with you. All these pretty girls when it comes to Halloween and shit, they got so much, they have more cocks in their mouth than they have, sweets. You know what I mean? And that is their sweets, so they're not going to really be thinking about a guy that they don't really fuck with. So the moral of this video, man, if people don't like you, if people place you in a box already, there's nothing you can do about it but just be yourself. Try to limit your interaction with these people, because these people are toxic. They got demons, they got spirits, because you got to think about it. When somebody is purposely doing bad things towards you on purpose, is that a good Christ-like thing? Or is that a wicked, demonic devil type thing? And then they use their mind to verify, well, he said this about me. It's like, are you a 2-year-old? Have you ever said something bad about somebody and the person didn't say nothing bad? They're responding to what you did to them. I never got on here and just talk shit about people. I'm responding to how these people treated me and what they said about me. And if it's fucked up because people will attack you, then the minute you defend yourself, then you're the bad guy. I want you guys to realize that. Your boss can pick on you every single day. Your boss can yell at you, scream at you, whatever, your coworkers can talk about you, but the second you come up in there and you stand up for yourself, then everybody turns against you. And then they wonder why people just bring projectile functioning weaponry and then lose their minds. And then when that happens, that person's the bad guy. But people keep fucking with people when they shouldn't. But they do it on purpose. And that's another thing too, is never, ever, ever be around people who hate you. Never. It's a cold world out there. And then when you see people living out their dreams, they're doing what you dreamed of, and you're you're a long way from it, or you don't have the right people around you. Then you got the people around you hate you. They're not there. They're not conducive for your spiritual growth and development. They're conducive to your, your failures. It sucks in the world where where you feel like you don't bother nobody. You're a good person. You don't bother nobody. You don't start shit with nobody. You mind your business. And people just go out their way to try to find things about you, to try to, talk shit about you. But if you were such a loser, why do they care so much about you? If you think somebody's a loser, you wouldn't care about them at all. You don't give a fuck what they're doing, And especially when that person's out is not in your vicinity anymore, but you're gonna still watch their videos. You're gonna still talk about them. This makes no sense. You got, random people in different countries, different states, focusing on certain people. So focusing. And then you have, when you meet people in real life, man, you got to be very careful with your friend groups and things of that nature, because Who you hang around with is who you're gonna act like the most. If you hang around with a bunch of like, if you hang around with a bunch of bitches and a bunch of females and a bunch of, you know, whatever, you're going to start taking those behavioral feminine traits. If you hang around a bunch of strong men who, you know, go out there fishing, they go hunting, they do this, they do that, you're going to take on those masculine traits. You're going to take on the traits of whoever you're around the most. Remember that. So if you're around yourself, well, you're going to take on the traits of being yourself. You got to be careful. And also, your network is your net worth. You have to remember that. You have to understand that. We live in a world that's purely evil. You know, people around you are evil. People in the world are evil. Like whoever, you know, designed the system of oppression is evil. It's just evil and violence, and people love picking on people, especially in my skin color configuration. I was just watching this one shit the other day where this cop just shot this one FBI. They shot this black FBI agent because they said, "Oh, it's a black male or whatever," and then this cop found the first black male and shot at him. You can Google what I'm saying. He was an FBI agent. They were doing some type of raid or something. He was an FBI agent in full gear and all that. And I'm just like, here we go, man. There's struggle on top of struggle on top of struggle. You got to deal with the struggles of being in a poverty-stricken position. You got to deal with the struggles of having a certain skin color configuration. You got to deal with the struggles of economic stabilization and acceleration. And a lot of us, all we want to do is just write our little books, make our little music, do our little things right here, and make money from that and grow. I guarantee once we figure out a way how to do that, you know, the haters will never be silent. When somebody hates you, they hate you for life. And some people that hate you the most are the people that are closest to you.